lovely day! Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Zinda, The Plain Truth, SX, Sleeping Warrior, P. Mars, Jose, Chocolate Saiyan, Warren and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello. What?
Right,
I'm going to
go straight into a bit of housekeeping as we've got a mixed panel. So, any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
No.
Yeah, all over the place.
Excellent, P. Tell us all about it.
Yes.
I told you, George Orwell said, you know, we can navigate the ocean based on math that says the Earth is a sphere, and the only way you can prove him wrong is with changing the definitions of words or something to using a biased definition of a word.
What makes him a credible source, P?
So Pete is
Mark
a blogger today?
Why are you reversing the burden? Why are you reversing the burden, P? You just cited George Orwell. I'm asking you, what gives him credible authority for you?
I don't know. That's up for you to decide for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, I decide no, he's not.
No.
You guys do you have any evidence that George Orwell is wrong? That doesn't involve changing the definitions of words?
Travis. No. Do you have evidence?
Yeah, what's up?
Right?
So don't worry, man. He's gonna be a flat earther tomorrow. He changed sides like every other day.
I can pretty safely say that George Orwell used a presupposition in his statements.
Yeah, but is he wrong? Do people navigate based on spherical math or not? Do you have any evidence that he's wrong?
They navigate based on the globe of the heavens spherical math, indeed.
Okay, then. Seems like we found evidence of curvature finally.
No, we found evidence of a globe of the heavens that can be used to navigate by using the angular relations with the position on the Earth. That's what that proves.
Okie dokie. Any signs of axial rotation?
Nope.
Not of the Earth.
No.
Any more for any more? Hello? Any signs that we're spinning? No? Really?
Nope.
Okie dokie. What about
Mars is a flat Earth, or is a globe Earth stationist.
Oh, is he geocentric?
I don't know how to prove that we're spinning. So what?
We're not. Any signs of a gas pressure without a container?
Never.
No.
Nope.
Yeah, all over the place.
Okie dokie. I'll carry on my cup of coffee.
Wait.
You carry on, P.
There's gas pressure in like fields on the Earth that are open. Boom.
Any signs of
Where's the
a
vacuum then?
any signs of a evenly? Yeah, please.
How are you going to define vacuum? Because this is the
No
thing
pressure.
You change. Okay, well,
Super low pressure.
If that's your definition of your definition of a vacuum is no matter and no air pressure, then space is not a vacuum. So there you go.
Super low pressure. That's my definition.
about this gas pressure thing, any signs
in
of,
huge quantities.
also any signs of an evenly distributed any signs of an unevenly distributed pressure inside the container?
Is there any signs of that in an open system?
Yeah, that's a question, because this question, this question is just like kind of stupid to me, because if we live in a container, then how the fuck does the air pressure vary so much when we go to the top?
Well, hang
It's
on.
not
Gravity.
It's not a pressure gradient. It's a density gradient.
I was going to say
it's a
hang on.
gradient despite anything.
Hang on, that's a valid point, but that's not our point. Our point is that we do have a gas pressure, but to have a gas pressure in the first place, there's got to be walls.
Are you saying density causes the acceleration force downward?
Entropy. Mass itself has entropy inherent to
I
it.
guess we don't have a cohesive viewpoint on that, do we?
No, it's very simple. You have entropy. It is the inherent. It is actually within the molecules themselves. It is the force that forces them to move apart if they can, as it were, and that causes all matter of gaseous nature to move in all directions. And if the pressure becomes low enough, then because of that, because the average pressure will be lower, then yeah, potentially even like seas would boil and turn into water, gas, and that would then also be subjected to entropy and move in all directions.
Right. So let me just pick up on what Peace just said. We don't really have a. What did you say, P? We don't really have a solid position. Did you say?
Yeah, it seems like everyone has a different opinion on what is causing the downward acceleration.
Right. So that's based on the contradiction. Your model tells us that we have an open system, yet we have a gas pressure. That's where the problem's arisen from. So how do we have a gas pressure in an open system?
Gravity.
Right, and you can't prove it, right?
We can prove gravity, yeah.
How?
Cavendish experiment.
And what does that show
Scientific
exactly?
evidence of gravity. How many
shows
times
mass
will we have to
attracts
do
mass.
this?
Right, and we can validate that by repeating the experiment and getting the same results, can we?
Yep. Yes, we can.
No.
Sorry,
And,
we went over this
do you remember
yesterday. We went over this yesterday. Did you watch Unorthodox getting the explanation again and again and again about how you're studying the natural world?
Yeah, but you don't have any argument that doesn't involve just changing the definitions of what words are to debunk the Cavendish experiment. So
Sorry,
the
it's
Cavendish
not
experiment is valid.
Not
Cavendish experiment is not an experiment.
It's not an experiment.
Changing the definitions of words is not a good argument.
Where
It's
do
not
we
an
go?
experiment. You don't have a
evidence or a
naturally
good
observed
argument that
phenomena, P.
debunks the
You don't have a
Cavendish.
natural phenomena observed. It's not an experiment. It's not science. It's a pseudoscience.
Do you have any argument that
parlor
doesn't
trick.
involve changing the definitions of words to
When have we done that, P?
the Cavendish experiment? That's
When
all
is an
the
experiment?
argument.
Definitions of words.
The experiment is totally
not an
valid.
experiment.
Your argument is
P.
bunk. because
We've
it's just
seen
about
people do it, and
changing
as
the
a
definitions
result,
of
it doesn't have
words.
cohesive results. Sometimes it almost seems
It
to
has
work.
the same
Other
result.
times
It's a
it completely
repeatable experiment, Arwin.
Yeah, the guy that went on the panel, remember? He actually showed it to us. Didn't work. It was extremely sensitive to movement, but it
Who
just
cares?
didn't do that.
The
Who
guy
cares
that
if it
put the
works or
Cavendish
not? There's no
together
natural
with
phenomena.
tape.
What's the natural phenomena that's being observed, P? We're talking about science and the natural world. So what's the natural phenomena being observed
I don't
in the Cavendish
want to get
experiment?
into a semantic argument. I would like
Oh,
to hear
semantics.
a
No,
better
semantics is
I'd
words.
like to hear a better
Words have
argument
meanings,
that goes
and we're
against
talking about
Cavendish
those
being an
words and their
experiment.
meanings. In this instance, natural phenomena, the words and its meanings.
It's not an argument, Nathan.
Yeah,
Give me
it's
an
not an
argument
experiment.
that says the Cavendish isn't a valid experiment.
No, it's not, because it doesn't have a naturally observed phenomena. You're just ignoring this detail. We're talking about science, the natural world.
I don't
doesn't have a
want
natural
to do
phenomena.
the semantics, okay? Give me
not
a
semantics.
good argument against
Why
the
is it that when globers get demolished, they tell us that we're using semantics? What, words and their meanings? Yes, that's right, Pete.
Hold on, P. I
not a
just
good
gave
argument.
you
Just changing the
direct
definition of
evidence.
what a word
I
is
just
is not
gave
a
you
good
direct
argument.
evidence that disproves that Cavendish is a legitimate thing because people have done it and sometimes they say it works, and with other people which do it and even present it right
true,
there,
Arwen.
it doesn't do it. So it's been disproven
That's not
to
true.
even do what it's supposed to do.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is true.
Show me how that's
It was
true.
live on air, right?
Okay,
there,
I can put a
guy.
stop to this.
That guy.
Hold on,
Arwen.
P. I can put a stop to this. I can put a stop to this. The question on the table is gas pressure without a container. So, can you give us a demonstration of gravity maintaining gas pressure without a container, P?
No, that's the wrong culture.
Yeah, the pressure gradient.
Sorry, a demonstration of gas maintaining pressure by way of gravity. Please, can you give us a demonstration of this? Don't just assert your religious belief about what the world does.
I've seen people play demonstrations of it on your panel before, so you've already seen it.
No, what we've had is demonstrations of a far heavier gas than the gas we all breathe going to the bottom. That's not an example of gas pressure without a container. We do have gas pressure above it, lighter than it. That's why it was at the bottom of that particular level and gradient. It's not an example of gas pressure without a container. When it was under a higher pressure, he had to have a lid when he pumped it into the container. Otherwise, it would have dispersed into the air because it was under a higher pressure.
That's right.
So is this a no example of gravity maintaining gas pressure without a container?
I disagree with what you're saying. So
I'm asking for I'm not making an assertion. I'm asking for an example of gas pressure being maintained without a container by way of gravity. That's what I'm asking for. I'm not making an assertion. I'm asking you to back your assertion.
I don't have an example on hand because
can we move on then?
People have already come on your panel and shown you examples of it. So
no, nobody's giving examples of gas pressure being maintained without a container by way of gravity. I assure you.
I've seen it on your panel.
Well, do you want to show us? Rather than just saying, I've seen it.
I don't know the video. Someone came on and presented a video that showed it.
Guys, just a word, just on a different note. Sorry, I just wanted to slip this in, P. If anybody's unaware, P-Mars proved unicorns are real. Somewhere on his channel, I'm not sure where, but P-Mars definitely proved unicorns are real on one of his videos. I remember it distinctly.
Your unicorn argument isn't very good.
No, you proved it, mate. It's on your videos somewhere.
You always go to this unicorn argument.
Well, you proved it. Really it's on your videos. People just need to.
Really
people just need to either go and have a look through all your videos or trust what I say. That's their only two choices, P. Like your only two choices are trust what you say or go scouring through my videos for an example you claim proves your point.
You're immature.
Okay, P. I think we'll move on. Any evidence for the distance to the sun?
Nope.
That's possible.
Nope.
Anthony, I once I asked you about the sun, and you said it's not a physical object, right? Like a rainbow. So we had this discussion. One part of this discussion we had before, but we didn't finish it. So did I understand it right? You can compare the sun to a rainbow or something like that?
Well, the rainbow and the sun point is to do with whether or not it's a physical object in the sky. We're not saying it's a rainbow. We're comparing it to a rainbow to make the point that we don't know if it's tangible or not.
Okay, so you think it's not a physical object, or
can you
are you
walk
sure
around
about
it?
this?
Can you, from your location, if you try to walk towards the sun, what happens? Yeah. What happens? Do you get closer to it? Can you walk around the side of it, for example?
I can't really get that much closer to the sun because, you know, I can't fly up, and yeah, I don't know what you want to say about it.
Well, my question is, can you get closer or can you go around the side of it?
Well, I would have to fly around it theoretically, but I'm not sure about that.
So can you show me an example?
I'm just saying no. With my current things I have, I can't. No.
Like a rainbow, then you try and get closer and it moves, right?
When you turn on the shower on the beach, you can sometimes see something that looks like a rainbow. You know, those colors. It looks exactly like a rainbow, but it's smaller. So I can walk around it. Yes, I could.
So as you change your angle of view, it doesn't disappear. Just stays there, and you can physically touch the bottom of it. Can you? You can lean down and touch the bottom, even though you're angled to the light that's being transmitted through those drops of water. That always remains the same and creates a rainbow. So you can touch the base of the rainbow with your hose pipe. Can you?
I can walk like some degree around it, but you're right. I can't walk completely around it because my angle of view changes. So the rainbow starts to disappear. Of course, I know the point.
So pretty much like the sun. Then you try and walk closer to it, and it moves. You try and go around the side of it, and it moves. Yeah. It looks like it's just there, like you could just touch it, but it's not.
Okay. It's interesting. I wanted to understand the point Anthony made. So thank you. So this thing can emit heat. The sun.
I have no idea what's causing what it does.
Something like that can emit heat. Okay. I'm a bit skeptical towards it, but yeah, it's just back and forth. Would be a back and forth with arguments and something like that we can prove. So yeah, let's move on.
Well, I just want to know if you've got a distance.
Yeah, I don't have a distance. I can't measure it with the things I have right now.
Fair enough. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Tumbleweed sound effect.
No.
I know the answer to that.
Excellent.
What is it?
So sometimes there's like geological features that bring shit that's way farther than we can drill up to the surface, and based on that, and based on them analyzing like asteroids, right, or comets, that's why they think that there's a molten iron core. It's based on that stuff.
Lovely story.
Any evidence for molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Anybody? Anything at all?
No.
No, sir, no.
Pete, how do you know the location of the source of whatever it is that's coming up to the surface?
I don't know, man. I just read an article about this like months ago. I don't remember everything.
Lovely.
You realize I'm not a scientist, right? Can you use Google to answer questions for yourself, maybe, instead of asking a professional poker player, not a professional scientist?
And just believe the answer.
If you guys got any questions about poker, I can answer all those questions.
Not science, then.
Yeah, I'm not a scientist. I'm a professional poker player.
Anybody can be a scientist.
Are you
you guys think I'm a scientist or something? What
Anybody can be a scientist. You just have to apply the scientific method.
Yeah, we ask questions in order to generate conversation. Of course, we can research the things on our own.
I'll prove it.
Prove what?
Prove what? Iron core. Go ahead.
So, someone in the chat said there is seismographic evidence for this, seismologically.
Yeah, and they got that seismology wrong, didn't they? They called the super deep borehole. They made the prediction that the rock would get more dense, but it actually got less dense. So much for seismology.
Yeah. I told you, earthquakes.
Sorry, does that mean... I know Anthony's just poo-pooed it, but does that mean you've got seismology readings of a molten iron core?
I didn't. Just pointed out what someone in the chat said. I would have to look it up for myself.
I didn't catch that bit. Someone in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoever in the chat, if you want to join and present this, I'll happily stay on this subject. If you want one of the other panel members. Actually, we've got a really good panel. I don't know if I want to ask anybody to drop. Everybody's chatting.
If the person wants to join, I have to go in 10 minutes anyway. So it just write in the chat. I want to join the person who said about the seismographic evidence.
I'd love to see it.
And I will drop after this.
Cool.
Or I can snipe Riley. Nah, just kidding.
No more sniping.
Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. I'm out.
Just kidding, man.
Don't start.
All right. Whoever in the chat want to join. I'm out. Thank you, guys.
You off, Jose?
Thank you.
Jose.
Oh, he's dropped.
Oh.
Still good. We've got Gap on the panel if you want to join and talk about seismology. Hopefully you'll have some evidence of a molten iron core. We'll see. Any idea who it was that said it?
Is in there?
Shout out to Jose for taking one for the team. I wouldn't drop.
Yeah, I can drop right now. Have a nice day.
Well, hold on, you don't need to drop. You don't need
All
to.
right. I didn't look. I didn't see who left right now. Okay. Yeah.
But who was it that said it in chat?
I have to scroll up, but I don't know if it's still in the chat. You know, maybe it disappeared.
It's gonna be deleted. So
yeah, but there's a minimum how high I can scroll, right? Or can
it's
I
a lot.
extend that? Yeah. Can I control F it? I don't think so. Oh, I can. Have legs at seismology and seismic wave. Then ice Q WV.
Hello.
There is seismographic evidence for the core set ISKEWB.
Yeah, and how did the seismology come on when they predicted the density of the rock in the Kola super deep borehole experiment?
Yeah, so those are those two people who mentioned seismology.
Thank you for looking that up. Hopefully they'll join. We shall see. We've only got one last question on housekeeping, which is any evidence of the R value. So Earth radius, any signs of R?
No.
For those who are unaware, most globe proofs start with the presupposition you're on a sphere, and most of the mathematical equations will utilise an R value. Is that it? We done? Housekeeping over?
Yep.
We covered it all.
Think so. So, where were we?
Can I add just a new term for the glossary and possibly for the debate?
Is it rude?
This thing called vapor pressure. The effect water has in the mixture of nitrogen and oxygen that is our air. It is a force. It exerts pressure. The more there is, the more pressure. The less there is, the less pressure. This effect of altitude and pressure may be partly controlled by vapor pressure, the amount of saturation or water in the air. It's massive, and it changes drastically.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to add is vapor pressure.
Got a
Please
cheerleader
consider
in
it.
the,
It changes the density of the air as its concentrations vary. And it's a force. It exerts pressure.
Alhamandi, I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. Khalid Alhamandi. I'll try it once more. Says vapor pressure. Yes.
Yeah, vapor pressure, basically because of the added mass, and the volumic mass of the solution still is high enough to stay that high up. But yeah, of course, more mass will cause more pressure to be exerted. That's how that works.
Oh, right.
And then the temperature variation controls the amount of vapor pressure. The colder air can't sustain the water volume, the vapor volume.
So now we agree that the volumic mass causes the pressure?
An increase of it.
Oh, thank God for
The
that.
vapor in the air, the vapor pressure causes and is the mass that exerts the force.
Any mass, all of it, all has that pressure.
It took us a while to get to that point.
That doesn't explain the cause, though. Really, it just
it does. It
happens to
explains it
correlate
completely.
directly with it.
But
So,
it
as I
does.
already
Without
said
any doubt
before,
whatsoever.
can conclude that instead of a field subjected to everything in a constant, yeah, you could claim as a cause that mass itself just happened to have this inherent directional force for some mysterious reason that is kind of weird to conceptualize it. Yeah, you could do that.
What? So you're saying the mass of an object's really magic?
Well, it would have to be.
No.
If it has this force.
You drop a weight on your toe, it hurts, right? That's not
Immeasurable.
magic.
It's your conclusion, not mine.
If density causes things to fall, how come the more dense something is, it doesn't fall faster or slower? But if it's less dense, everything falls at the same speed.
In a vacuum.
Falling's formula is 32 feet per second squared till terminal velocity for the object is reached. That depends on shape, size, wind resistance, you know, etc. It's for everything. It's 32 feet per second squared.
Resistance of the
till terminal velocity, TV.
So I would reason that if density was causing the downward acceleration, that the more dense something would be, the faster it would accelerate downwards.
Welcome back.
Be gentle, he's new. Hi, Ranty 2.0.
Howdy. Alright.
Are you on the moon?
Sorry, so your verbal regulator is low. Need to amp it up.
Well, I'm not actually at home, so I'm on the laptop.
Oh, fair enough. Well, we can hear you clear. I've turned you right up, so it's all good.
It's a crappy mic, so...
Well, you're not dead. That's the main thing.
I'm definitely not dead. I feel dead
it.
after all the work I've been doing.
Broke up the conversation beautifully. Excellent timing, Ranty.
Have you missed me?
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have missed you, actually.
Yeah,
And
He's
the
not
audience
dead
has
and he's
definitely
not for
mentioned
sale.
your absence, so yes, I will say yes.
I need to put some videos out. I've got a few observations that I want to put out. I've just not had the time to do any kind of analysis on them, but they're sensational, and I will show them on your channel at some point, I'm sure. I think you've seen one though, Nathan, haven't you? The boat.
Yeah, I mentioned it on yesterday's show.
Yeah, I've rewritten the script for that about 5 times because, you know, when you get your brain just can't process something to make it sound really good. And so I've written the script about 5 times and I'm finally there now. I just need to put the video together.
Excellent. Can't wait.
So can I ask if like accuracy isn't as important as sounding good?
Sorry?
See, when I look at information, I'd rather it be accurate than just sound good.
Yeah,
sound
well,
good sounds like a so-so story again.
Oh, it's all about the accuracy. I've been pestering him for ages. It's not dirty air, it's the angle. Blah, blah, blah. So, you know, he's got enough people on his case to want it to be right. I think that's what you mean, right, Ranty?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so it's such a piece of the observation is so good that it has to be handled correctly. It has to be written correctly. It has to be said correctly, and all the other information that I have to go with it needs to be put in exactly the right place at the right time. So I have a feeling that when I publish it, it's going to be mirrored everywhere. So that's why I want it to be perfect.
Is it a P1000 shoot?
No, it's from the P900.
Cool.
Although I do have a P1000 shoot where I actually see Great Orme from the Mirror Ball in Blackpool. Shouldn't be seen at all. And of course, obviously, we see it just a clear day.
Nice. How far away is that?
Oh, it's 36 miles or something.
Whoa.
Hoopalai.
Nice.
So you mentioned the resolution, and I was convinced at the time that you were saying it was only 2K, but I'm pretty sure now that you just gave me the horizontal line measurement, 2160. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it is 4K.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've got it in 4K, but I didn't want to put the video out until, again, I've edited it. I've just not had the time. I've literally been so tired when I've getting in from work, and like I say, I haven't had a day off for 2 weeks, and I've got another 2 weeks worth of work to do. So But I will put some time into it tomorrow evening and hopefully get a video out on Tuesday.
Sorry, Zinder's piping up. I know you've got to go shortly, Zinder. Do you want to just verbalise what you're saying? Because
I just wanted to say to Pete that we had the thing he brought up before about this density stuff. We talked about 2 days ago. I'm hearing an echo, by the way. Okay. So the thing we talked about, I brought up 2 days ago, and we didn't get to a conclusion at the end. So I didn't get to an agreement. I mean, so I just wanted to say that to Pete. So yeah, have a nice day, everyone, and keep debating.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you, Zinder.
See you later, Zinder, and get back to me on that Google Maps thing.
Yeah.
See what you
And
No,
we
we
wanted
did it.
to
We did
talk
it. We
about
did
this
it
gravity
live.
stuff too, right? Once, so we can do both if we want.
We did
And
it.
different hangout, you said. So
Sure.
So we did
you're
it. We did it
welcome.
on the last show. He did scroll around on the last show, Arwin. Just to give the audience context, because we've talked about it a little bit. So on the last show, Arwin pointed out that if you go to Google Maps, just Google Maps, they've now turned it into a globe-shaped map when you zoom out. And if you get it so that you've got maybe just the tiny edges of the globe they present. Hi, Spurs Chemo. If you've got just the tiny edges of the globe they present and you scroll around that globe, you'll see the scale changing. So check out the last show if you actually want to see that happening, because I did get it. I changed the size of the Hangout screen so you could see it, the audience could see what Alan was describing, albeit on a very small scale. Probably why it's teeny tiny in the bottom right-hand corner, eh, Arwin?
Mm-hmm.
How you doing,
Yeah,
Spurs?
it's small.
Hi, can you hear me?
We hear you. Good to have you.
Great. So, I mean, I wanted to ask, like, flat earthers, I know we kind of, like, discussed it before, but we understand water is contained. The water's flat. So, I mean, what do we suppose is contained in the water? What's holding it?
Who cares?
The rock, the bedrock.
Who cares? We don't know is the answer.
Speculate on stuff
You can
like
just
that.
speculate.
That's just
That would be a question for the globers. They want to know, well, what's holding the water in?
in lakes and ponds, it's the shores.
Yeah, the seas and oceans have the same shores, though.
Nathan, you gotta read in chat what's there.
I
What
just
George
wanted
just
to
said is just-
add one little thing about airplanes and globes. We've all seen air shows where stunt pilots fly upside down. Now, when you fly upside down to nose up, you use your joystick backwards. You nose down to make your plane go up and vice versa. So if a plane was truly flying upside down in Australia, the pilots would have to nose up to land.
Nah,
They would have to be stunt pilots. They'd be flying upside down, literally, physically.
It'd still be relative.
Huh? No, it's not relative. Upside down is upside down. Take a toy plane, hold it at the South Pole, make it land. The belly has to be up. It's upside down. It's not relative.
Wow, George is
explain
going
that.
into total psychosis mode. Check it out in chat.
Yeah,
It
so I mean,
says
I
that
think
the second law of thermodynamics guarantees the existence of an atmosphere next to a vacuum. Really, that's what he's saying. It's amazing.
Are you listening to this, Nathan?
Yeah, of course.
He
So how come
guarantees that the
pressure up there is measured in PSI and not in torr.
That's not a good argument. Space has matter and air pressure. It's just very low amounts. So it's
We
not
measure
like
vacuums in
it's not
torr. They
true-
say the
it's not a true
vacuum of
vacuum.
space. A vacuum should be measured in torr. If you're going to call it a vacuum, measure it with its units, the torr.
10 to the
PSI
minus
is a
11.
pressurized system.
10 to the minus 11 torr. That's what space is. 10 to the minus 11 torr.
Ask if George wants to join. I'll drop for him to join.
Thanks.
I mean, I guess it's the
Come
same.
on, George, get in here. This is so hilarious. We want to see this new low.
What is containing? I mean, I agree with being contained and the water's being contained, but what would be that containment?
Again, it calls for speculation, just like what's holding in the seas. In court, you're not allowed to speculate. In science, you shouldn't speculate.
Yeah,
Draw
but
conclusions
there's
from
only
speculation.
Holding the seas and the
Precisely.
oceans. Think
Well
about
said,
it.
Jimbo. Can you repeat that?
In court, you're not allowed to speculate. In science, you're not allowed to draw conclusions from speculation. You prove it through the experimentation.
Precisely.
There's only
You have constants and variables, and you
emotions to stay in.
Try to make find constant relationships between your suppositions and speculations and what you're seeing. If there's a constant of proportionality that you can vary and it remains intact, you know, proportional, then it's considered a positive result in an experiment. If it doesn't maintain a constant of proportionality, it's wrong. That's simple. It's just, for the most part, comparing, like, say, for example, you got product A and product B, they mix to make product C, and you get a 70% yield. Experimentally, you can actually try to vary the concentrations of A to B. You can vary the time and the addition of the A to B, the temperatures. You can vary different things and see if you can increase from 70% yield to 75. Try to improve a process. There's nothing that we can experiment with that isn't basically that. We already know something's going on, and we're just trying to figure it out and try to put some type of proportion to it. It's like the temperature. If we didn't have degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, whatever, I would say, well, how's the weather over there? Is it warm, cold? Just so? We'd be three little bears in the porridge, you know? So, again, it's just proportionality. It doesn't mean we're right. Again, we have all kinds of scientific stories, and that's all they are, like for electricity. Again, I come back to something really simple. In England, you can put your key in your car and start it. In America, you can do it. But the electrical theory that's wiring the battery and all your circuits in your car are diametrically opposed. The British use a positive hole theory. The Americans use a negative to positive Born theory. So they're opposites. They work totally different. The wiring is different. You have to, if you're fixing either car or doing wiring on both, you're doing two different theoretical wirings. You can't use one but what my point is, one has to be right, one has to be wrong, or they're both wrong. They're not based on right and wrong. They're based on, in a sense, a so-so story that added to other so-so stories form a kind of continuum that seems to be coherent, but isn't necessarily the truth. It's just, you know, joining logical fallacies together, in effect, with our own creations. That's all science really is. We can't really say there's an electron. That's an invented word, just like Einsteinium. You think there was really Einsteinium in the universe? Well, why do we name something Einsteinium or Mendelium or whatever? It's quite a fabrication, quite a stretch, you know?
So, I mean, even if, you know, flat earthers went to the dome or went to the wall or whatever, and how would we prove that scientifically?
Again, just more speculation. I can only work in a practical sense with what I can see and feel. If I can't get to no edge, I don't want to speculate on it. But I can see 20 miles across the bay. So can Ranty, so can Nathan, so can everyone on the panel. And when you zoom in on a building, lighthouse, it's 20 miles away, a few feet off the shore. I mean, there's something wrong. That's where I stay. I don't go to no ice rings and DES and these. In this one guy, he's reporting from the ice wall. He took 4 days to get there, and to Finland and everywhere in the world. He's wearing Goodwill clothes, a lady's scarf. There's some dried snot on his coat. And he says when he drops an apple, the earth is moving up to meet it.
Yeah, but what I'm asking, James, is the wall or the dome science? Would you test it scientifically?
So far, no.
So it's not something that can be tested scientifically?
I don't think so.
Indeed.
Not yet.
No proof of a dome.
I know we see a dome. My belief is in part because of the way the eyeball works. Same way as if you could I finish? If you stand in a railroad track and look to the horizon, they come pinched together. Your eye bends thing into kind of a focal point wherever you're looking. And all around is kind of like a 180 degrees. Focus is around that 180-degree panorama, you know.
Spurs.
So forms, in my book, that curve, that ball shape, that dome. But it doesn't mean it's so. It doesn't mean that what's above us is actually a dome shape.
Spurs.
Indeed.
Yes, Anthony.
Are you aware that to make a rainbow, you need to have two lenses?
Yeah, okay.
One would be your eyeball, but there needs to be a second one somewhere. And we do have rainbows. So the question is, well, if we have rainbows and you need two lenses, and we only have one, what's the other one?
Might be the lens through which the light is coming. It doesn't have to be the dome. Could be inherent to the source of the light, whatever that is.
Might be a bell-shaped air mass.
I'm just saying, the light may be passing through a lens somehow. Doesn't mean that it's passing through the dome as a lens, though.
Yeah, but the point is we need two lenses, right? And we only have one on their model, one being our eyes.
Yeah, so there is a lens.
How do we have rainbows if we only have the one lens?
Wouldn't that be the atmosphere itself?
No, it's got to be a lens. A way to reflect or a way to pass through a medium. We don't have a medium change.
God gave us rainbows to promise that he won't flood the earth again.
Right. So is somebody still gonna drop to let George on? Because I find his challenge quite interesting.
I got no problem. I'm gonna bail. Enjoy, guys.
All right. See you later. So George, come in here and see how low you can go this time. Let's see it. Share us your infinite wisdom about the second law of thermodynamics and why it inherently proves that there is a vacuum next to gas pressure.
Just bring some evidence with you, George, because if you're going to say stuff, we are going to ask for evidence.
First, I want his citation of this second law of thermodynamics inherent connection to his statement. And then from there on, let's move to the actual scientific proof. So come on, George. We're waiting.
People with Down syndromes have flat faces.
Right. Come on, George. It's taking you so long. Come on.
George, I run this show. If you think that you can dictate to someone else to start a show, or I stay quiet for 15 minutes, no, George. You're more senile than I thought. I run the show. I'll do as I damn well please. You can join or sod off. Back to Red Rhetoric's options. You have two choices, George. Join or sod off. That's your two choices.
I'm the human sheeple,
fish guy,
and I got a server, and I mute people, and I kick people.
Hi, Jose.
Sorry, I'll drop again, George. You're welcome. Come on, man. I just jump in to say, George,
he's not saying he wants to
coward,
join.
Jump in.
He's not saying he wants to join, though, Jose. He's saying, here's my terms, like I give a crap about some disingenuous, lying, senile old bastard's terms.
You got your proof? Well, bring it forth. Come on, guy.
So he won't join the panel, but he'll sit in the chat spamming nonsense anyway.
He does that all the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, if you think about him saying about the show and this, that, and the other, but he'll do it in the chat, but he won't come on the debate when he's got a mic and he has a mouth.
No brain, though. You need a brain.
Yeah, exactly.
I think George does a lot of speculating. That's probably what the issue is. I think, he speculates that, this must be what it is, and I think that's the problem. He doesn't have the evidence clearly. Just like the evidence for, the dome or we can just speculate that there's possibly that.
George has the positivity brainwashing. They brainwash us to think positive, and that negative thinking is wrong, so never think negative. And as I tried to explain to George the negative aspects of climate change and how it could be used by like crazy dictators to oppress people, But he just couldn't see any negative to the climate change hoax. He just said, "Oh well, all they'll do is clean up the environment, even if it's not true." Like, it boggles my mind that people are so easily, well, everyone's like just so hypnotized and brainwashed in our society. It's insane.
Yeah, they all think they're living on a spinning ball. It's crazy.
See, P Mars does talk sense now and again.
So the new age brainwashes you to think positively because there's a quote I like from Bruce Lee where he says, "Those who are not aware they are in darkness will never seek the light." So everyone's just walking around with these positive, happy thoughts. They won't ever realize all the bad things that are happening in the world, and that's not good.
Just like the people that read one article and change their mind, right, Pete?
Is that some sort of insult directed at me? I don't understand.
Seems like you got it.
What do you mean read one article and change their mind?
Oh, George said it's not speculation. He has...
Just answer the question, white boy.
I don't know
what I was talking to the Globers this morning about was the radius. And I brought up a few videos on how they, got the radius with sticks, using sticks in the ground. So they place one stick in one area, and I mean, what is the Anthony? Do you understand this idea about the sticks in the ground?
Aristophanes.
Yeah, they got the radius for that. So, is it presupposition if they did it mathematically? But they just say, well,
of course, it's presuppositional.
You having a laugh?
Well, no, I'm saying work it out. How they put one stick in the ground. Well, I'm hoping George would come on and kind of explain this. But I mean, I was looking at it this morning with them. It doesn't make any sense. Me and Mate 4 were just like, how can this make any sense? How do you get curvature from this? So, have you looked at how they get the radius?
Yeah.
Do you understand what they mean when they say they stick one stick?
Yeah, it comes down to the two angles, and it comes down to the whether you consider the baseline that connects the two angles, whether it's a straight line or a curved line. If it's a straight line, you get a close sun. If it's a curved line, you get a really, really, really far away sun. That's all it is.
George is complaining that he can't come on.
Who cares?
Oh, he wants to come and talk with me.
It's all to do with whether you apply a straight baseline or whether you apply a curved baseline. Because if you think about the curve, right, let's just say you get two 45-degree angles and you got a straight line that connects the two, then that's going to give you a close distance. But if you put a shallow curve on them 45-degree angles, then all of a sudden they kind of become like two 48-degree angles, and that puts the sun way further back. And obviously, with the size of the Earth being massive, like that's so massive that we can't detect the curvature, yet soundly shows the curvature. Well, on that size thing, then it means that you're going to have like, man, it's going to put the sun miles away. But that's the issue.
I don't see how they got curvature from. They say it doesn't work on a flat Earth; it has to be curved.
No, of course it works on a flat Earth. It just depends on whether you put a straight line or a curved line. The kind of thing that George that said that to you by any chance?
No, George
wants to join.
George is banned from the.
He's complaining. Yeah, but we can give it another go. But he's probably not going to do it anyway. So, but yeah, sure.
I'll drop and see if he joins. Okay.
All right. Thanks. Come on, Georgie boy. Are you gonna bring your conditions forward again? That's hilarious.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because they, obviously when we're over there, we're like, Mate 4 was this morning like, oh, in R we trust or something like that, and they were going crazy about why are you mocking, let's just go through the procedure of how we found art. So we just pulled up a load of videos on how they found all the radius.
Do the maths.
And
you're not dropping, by the way. I don't know why.
They're adamant. Oh, this has to be. This cannot work on a flat surface. It has to be on a curved surface. And it doesn't. That doesn't seem. I mean, if you stick in the ground, it wouldn't tell you if something is curving or not. I would have thought. They seem to think that it does. It's just interesting.
SX, you haven't dropped.
A sundial wouldn't work on a flat surface.
Compasses don't work on a ball.
Is it okay if I just kick him because he doesn't seem to be responding or? Oh, okay, he finally went. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So George, coming in. Clock is ticking.
Hello.
Oh, he probably left. Not seeing his comments anymore.
What's up, Spurs? So are you being sent to present arguments in favor of the globe, or you just doing this because you feel a need to do it?
What globe?
The globe. You're talking about what's holding the waters and all. Some kind of a globe.
Spurs is an in-betweener. He argues.
No chance.
He's neither gay nor homosexual. He's in the middle.
No, because obviously, I spend time with the globers and I discuss this, daily. So they're just adamant, and it's not persuading, but there's the flat earthers in there which keep on changing their mind. So they're easy to persuade. The flat earthers are like, oh wow, the Boilers argument sounds good, it sounds persuasive, and then I'll have to be like, well, gravity, they haven't proven this, they haven't proven actual curvature, and then it's like a back and forth. So I think that those things need highlighting or going over.
I mean, I've done that this last couple of days also. I presented the 2 rotation points in the stars and the videos of Timmy and Soundly, etc., etc., things like that. These points need to be covered.
Yeah, you've been there too, Jose. Yeah, you've been around there. So, Mo, I asked you, was you saying your video proving like sounding, was it like curvature or something? And
they say it proves curve. I say it's inconclusive. Too much crap in the.
Yeah, but Jose, could you do that anywhere? Could you do that in another place, anywhere in the world?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
It's the bridge and the pylons that is most useful.
Oh my God! Now look at what the wake source is.
Yeah, it looks
this
exactly
is hilarious.
Like
Why is he attacking? I've just timed George out for spamming. So if you're attacking George, that's a bit cowardly. I've literally just timed him out, and the audience can see that. The side chat shows when I time people out. So don't attack George now. He's been timed out.
Maybe Awake Souls wants to join because George probably not going to.
Well, he just carried on spamming, so he moaned and said, oh, I've tried 3 times, couldn't get on. Then there was a song and dance made about a gap being made, which is still there. There's still a gap. And then he, rather than joining, started spamming the same shit again. He knows the outcome if he comes. That's why he didn't join. Even though there's a gap now, he'd rather spam than actually join and moan and play the victim when he can't join. So, yeah, he's just full of shit. Just ignore him. Anthony was right the first time. So what? Just ignore him.
Come on, Awake Souls. Prove that the second law of thermodynamics has been debunked. That's hilarious.
If Awake Souls is thinking of joining, I'll be wanting to know whether or not he's apologised to Ranty with the biggest apology the internet's ever seen.
Shit.
I think he deserves
it. Must be true. I mean, look at George. It must be very traumatic for George. All of his life, this is all he's known. And he supposed that the future generations will be going to space, there'll be space exploration. He's probably watched Richard Branson promise the world that they're going to do this and this and the other, and now it's like he's cannot believe what's happening around him. So
let me get a quick shout out to Bill Miller in the chat. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you're all right.
So he's got to be
just like Brian Mullen.
Gonna feel absolutely devastated, and just basically abused. Like we don't get it, we don't understand, but we seem to understand the shape of the Earth practically more than they ever have or ever will. That's how you mathematically it works. Mathematically, it shows that it's a curve, but when it comes to actually showing, there's a serious disconnect. So.
Oh my God.
I'm going to do a quick plug. So in 2 hours from now, I think it's 2 hours, I'll put an advert up once I've double checked that the time is correct, but I think it's 6 o'clock UK time. I'll be doing science versus pseudoscience, so Quantum Eraser and myself We'll go through the topics that have been covered in the last couple of shows and explain with references exactly what science actually is. So tune in, be here or be sphere, 6 p.m. UK time for Science versus Pseudoscience with myself and Quantum Eraser. So unless there's anything else to add, guys, I'm going to round this show out.
No, that's it.
Just a shout out to Wake Souls for being absolutely ludicrously hilarious.
Research Sphere Earth.
Thank you for having us.
That's a good note to end on. So with that, I will say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!